The Minority Report every day here at Nooga Radio. David Tulis, glad you can give me just a couple minutes of your time here where we explore local economy and the free market. And I make what sounds like a potentially boring argument, and that is the free market in local economy. You know, it's not just the local economy about which we talk. We talk about local economy as an idea. And that is what it is. It's an idea, and it's an ideal, really, an ideal that allows you, the listener, to connect with people, allows you, the listener, to connect with the marketplace, and to have a real investment in life here in Chattanooga. We want you to identify with Chattanooga, to identify with Hamilton County, because you're here, right? You're here, and because you're here, this is the center of the universe. That's it's called Nooga-centrism, if you will. That's my non-trademarked term. Or you could also call it localism. And in that idea, as I say again, we esteem the local, and we disesteem, we diminish the value, diminish the interest that we have ordinarily in the national narrative, the national economy, and all the great things in the national sector that are going to save us from our problems. Right? We constantly think that we have problems that they can only be solved by President Trump, or only be solved by Chuck Fleischman now with his bruised ankle on the mend. After the big hoopla of the shooting yesterday, he can't solve our problems, but neither can Andy Burke, really, and neither can the General Assembly and Governor Haslam. I think a lot of the problems that we have to be solved locally, and you might say in the free market that would be privately. Now, here's a problem to think about that you haven't considered the undoing of. What about tattoos? You know, in a way, we have a national economy that's just choked with debt. Debt is like a tattoo that you don't want anymore. We have debt. The debt ratio per household medium income, the ratio of debt per medium income household is now at about 600%. It used to be back in the 90s, it was about 75%. So it's gone up, and we have a great distortion in the economy. And tattoos are like that. Tattoos lose their shape. And we're going to hear from Melissa Slater, who works at Access Pharmacy, a registered nurse involved in a new program at Access Pharmacy. How tattoos can lose their, as you lose weight, gain weight, they can lose their beauty. And there are many other reasons that tattoos come into disregard by the one upon whom they are etched, seemingly indelibly. Well, Melissa, tell us about Access's new program. You've been with the locally owned business run by Brad Standifer and his family for 7 months. What is the new program all about?
Well, I'm just very excited to be here, David. Thank you for this opportunity. The new program is Access Laser Center, and we have a state-of-the-art Quanta Q-switch laser that we use to lose your ink. There's a lot of reasons why people would like a tattoo removed. And until now, with the new technology, it was either very painful to do, very inadequate, and the techniques that were used, a lot of people did at home, were very unsafe and unsanitary. So now when you want to change something that was meant to be permanent, now there is a permanent solution for that.
Well, I think my listener wants to know, since we do like to get into the weeds, how does a tattoo stay on your skin, and how is it permanent? What makes it indelible?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. When they put a tattoo on, it's done with various types of ink, and that ink is put all the way in the dermal layer of the skin, and it doesn't ever go away. Your skin sheds the epidermis, but it doesn't ever shed to the dermal layer. So you always see the ink that's been deposited in your skin. It fades over time, but it is meant to be permanent, and it is permanent. So
a dark tattoo is seen through layers of dead skin, which is the epidermis, and it's strong enough and dark enough that it does the layer of skin on top doesn't really block the performance, I guess,
exactly.
of the
Yes.
artwork.
Yes, it is. And a lot of tattoos are great. A lot of tattoos are meaningful to people. People have tons of reasons to tattoo, and I definitely support people's choices. But at the same time, if the tattoo's changed, if it's not what they want anymore, if at 18 when they got the tattoo, maybe a little inebriated in Panama City, now at 36 when they're a professional, they don't want that same tattoo on their body, and they're kind of embarrassed about it. But there was no way to get rid of it It may have faded, but it's still there to remind them when they were 18.
Now, we've seen in the past few days people who are of criminal nature have tattoos on their faces. That there's the man who is accused of having killed 2 security guards had tattoos over his eyebrows, and that, of course, that's part of his identifying features as deputies around the country look for him and his partner. And then there's a story here in Hamilton County about a man with tattoos all over his face, all kinds of designs, crowns, and other figures on his face, accused of killing a woman and having her body in the back of his truck. Those tattoos are in very, you might say, gross places, because it seems like the human face could not in any way be adorned by a tattoo. Even if you're the humblest, plainest looking person, even if you're ugly, a tattoo can't help you. I mean, there's something about the human face, I would say, that's beautiful, no matter its design, no matter the design God gave it. So a tattoo really can't help it. But you deal with tattoos really not on faces, right? You deal with them on arms, Melissa Slater, legs, backs, right? Shoulders.
Yes, all places.
Calves.
Usually not faces. People who so far haven't had any clients come in if they've got a tattoo on their face that they want it off. I guess that would be a very big decision to put it on your face. But I've had about every location otherwise.
Well, all right. So these are permanent because they're in the subdermal
layer of the skin,
subdermal layer of the skin, and
yes, sir.
Well, how does the laser beam work? I guess it goes through the outer layer, and
it does.
What happens in that process?
The laser actually penetrates the layers of the skin and identifies the ink. And when it identifies the ink, because it's attracted to the color of the ink, we have different colored lasers attracted to the opposite spectrum in the color wheel. So if I've got a laser that's clear, it's attracted to all the dark colors, grays, blacks, blues. Once it identifies it, it actually breaks it in small particles where your body actually clears those particles through your bloodstream.
So it converts the design piece by piece into waste product that's
it breaks
eliminated.
It into pieces. It breaks it into tiny pieces, and your body actually clears it out over time.
Well, that's kind of like a gallstone being knocked to pieces by lithotripsy, right?
In a way, yes, in a way. Laser could be looked at that way. Gallstones, of course, are done with radio waves,
right.
And this, of course, is done with laser, which does have a little bit of a heat component, but we manage all that, of course, professionally. And overall, laser is very comfortable for a lot of people.
Well, how do you treat the heat problem? Do it in a cold room?
We have, yeah. Well, that's a good idea.
You have to wear a coat to get laser.
Yeah, you have to.
Laser
you have to wear a coat to get lasers. You have to be an Eskimo to do that. No, we have a product that is also state of the art called a Zimmer. It has air that's cooled below freezing that actually used through the whole tattoo process to cool the area that I'm lasering, so the patient has maximum comfort. I'm also, as a nurse, within my practice act to perform pain management, which I do, and is done through our medical director and, of course, Access Pharmacy.
Yes, we are talking with Melissa Slater. She's a registered nurse at Access Pharmacy, and she's launching a new program there at this locally owned facility here in Hickson of removal of tattoos. And you're using a laser device that has different colored lasers, as you were explaining, that has the opposite of the color in the spectrum. So if you have let's say a red, now red is very difficult to remove. If you have a red tattoo, you use the opposite spectrum colored laser beam. And what color would that be?
Green.
So a green laser
Yes.
will reduce red. Can red be removed, or is that really impossible to come out?
It is a difficult color to remove, but it absolutely can be removed.
And what does that require? Extra time, extra heat on the...
It requires extra time, extra sessions for it to be removed. Red is one of the most difficult colors to remove with any type laser.
Is this done by hand? The reason I ask is I know printers. I have a printer at my office. I'm printing off my material for my show every day, and I can't believe sometimes how quickly the laser beam goes back and forth, burning the ink on the paper. So it's very fast. Is yours manual, Melissa Slater, or is there somehow some kind of mechanical assistance to the movement of the laser beam over the blotted area?
Actually, the movement is manual. I'm certified in laser, and so I'm the one that actually moves the handpiece. However, the frequency set also by me, which can be slow if it's a very intricate piece that I need to be careful of lines. Sometimes people have tattoos that are very intricate patterns, and they want to have something done over it. So they just want parts of that tattoo removed. And we can do that. But then sometimes we have a huge area that we need to get through, and we can set a frequency much higher. The laser beam fires much more rapidly, and I move the handpiece very rapidly to move over that area.
So you effectively are tracing the same lines that the tattooist made in delivering his product into the skin of the patient.
Yes.
Right? You're covering the exact ground that he is.
Yes.
If it's a big dark area that he did quickly, you can do quickly as well with your laser treatment.
Yes.
Well, talk a little bit about the culture of lasering, of tattooing yourself. It seems to be something relatively new. I'd say in the past, maybe the past 10 years, there's been a large increase in just visible tattoos on people. What's behind that, do you think?
I think a lot of people have different things that they tattoo for. The stories that I've been told about the tattoo regrets or the changes have to do with where people are usually in their life at the time. Tattoos are impulsively done. Sometimes they're done to mark a love that's forever, and then later it's not forever. Sometimes tattoos are to mark a certain event or to remember a certain event or a certain person. So tattoos can be whimsical, they can be impulsive, they can be extremely meaningful and deep. But they're not, even though they're meant to be forever, life changes. As we know, life goes on. Life may be different for you 15 years than it was 15 years ago, and you may want that tattoo removed at this time.
And what about the changes in the body's shape and age? How does that affect the look of a tattoo? Can you be specific as to how things might become less attractive over time?
Oh, yes. A lot of people, when they get tattoos, they don't think about placement. And they also don't think about how that skin and your body, we don't stop Mother Time, so we age. The tattoo changes over time. If you had a tattoo in an area that particularly gravity affects, that tattoo can stretch out. It can be different. If your skin sags, the tattoo sags. So it's not going to look like it did 20 years ago when you got it. It also fades over time. Anytime you get a tattoo put on, the body is continually trying to rid itself of it. So your body works against the tattoo because it considers it like an invasion in a way of foreign material. So it tries to rid itself of the tattoo. So,
and the body works your whole life trying to fight it, you're saying?
Yeah, it does. It identifies it. It identifies the ink because the ink's foreign. So that's why tattoos fade. So that's why over time, if you've got a great tattoo and you love it, you usually have to get it touched up because the ink fades over time because your body's trying to rid itself of the ink. But if you gain a lot of weight and lose a lot of weight, and you have tattoos in certain areas that would possibly stretch out and not stretch back the way they were, your tattoo can be very misshapen. So that can be a big problem for someone. Say someone's had a big weight gain and then they lose that weight. That tattoo may not look anything like it did when they got it put on.
I was reading in Newsweek this morning about a PhD candidate in Nova Scotia at Dalhousie University. He has come up with a tattoo removal cream that the story in Newsweek says costs about $4.50 an application and causes none of the inflammation, blistering, or scarring that comes with traditional removal procedures. There's also a quote from a doctor, Emmy Graber at Boston University. She says, macrophages are found in the dermis, and human skin is definitely thicker than that of mice, pointing out that tests of this product really can't be conclusive. What about creams and other home remedies? Melissa Slater.
I've read a lot about this. Salibration, which is a salt solution that people use to scrub their skin. Multiple creams that are supposed to fade and penetrate the skin. Everything I've read so far, and people that I've seen try to do these things online and look to the results, have been very inconsistent and also very ineffective. Sometimes it can make a big blob in your skin. You don't have so the tattoo so much, but you've just got smeared ink that looks like it's all underneath your skin. Blacks, blues, greens, just in a blob. Also, the salibration that people use a salt solution can cause scarring, infection, issues with keloids if you have skin that actually hyperscars, loss of pigmentation because it's a salt solution that people scrub, and they scrub the the epidermis and the other layers off until they get to the dermal layer, let it heal up, and then scrub it again. It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, it's also very painful.
Now, laser treatment of tattoos is not painful. You're saying
no, laser treatment is painful.
It is painful.
It is painful, but we have pain management.
Okay.
It is, and the Zimmer, the cooling device that we have, minimizes the pain. Also, we apply ice beforehand, and I have 2 different topical treatments that we can apply that are a numbing cream and also lidocaine injections. We can have very manageable treatment this way with laser therapy.
Are large tattoo systems, which I would say would be sleeves or designs that come up on your neck up to your jaw and cover your chest and maybe your upper arms, are systems like that or platforms like that, are they more likely to be wanted for removal or less likely? Do you deal mostly with small ones, small patchy ones no bigger than your hand, or do you have many sleeve owners coming in with regrets, Melissa?
Actually, both. I get a lot of small to medium-sized tattoos and probably just as many half sleeves or sleeves that I'm removing. Just started working on a sleeve yesterday with a co-owner of a local tattoo shop here. And she is going to have her half sleeve removed so she can tattoo over it. That's another thing that laser is the best choice for, because if you don't want to have to go through having it all the way off with all the sessions, because you know that you want to re-tattoo, it's just like art. You clear the canvas enough to where you can paint over. So if you want to re-tattoo, but you had a very dark tattoo and there's no way to cover it, you can't put your new design on it, you can have it lasered off till it's very light, and then the tattoo artist can put the new design on that you would choose.
Now, how did Brad Stanifer, who runs Access Pharmacy, see that there was a need for this in the Chattanooga area? Are there other parties, Melissa Slater, who you're his RN dealing with this question? Are there other places where this is being done, or are you somehow maybe early on in the tattoo removal area?
Well, we are on the groundbreaking end of it. There is another place that does it, a plastic surgery group, and I think there was another local business that was doing it, but I'm not unsure of that. If they're still in that business. Can anybody
do this, or do you have to have certain credentials or licenses to be a tattoo remover?
Not just anyone can do it. You do have to be certified, which I have been certified under laser, under Quanta Laser. I did do training, and I also have spent time in Nashville working at a clinic just doing tattoo removal.
So to buy the equipment, you have to be certified by the seller.
Yes, sir, you do. Yes, sir, you do.
Well, this is David Tulis. We're glad you're giving us a couple of minutes here at Nooga Radio. We're AM 1240 and FM 92.7. We're live on Facebook at Nooga Radio and also live on YouTube. All of my shows are cut up into pieces. Every segment is its own little program, so don't fail to subscribe. Also, let me invite you to be a subscriber to Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. I'm working on a big story right now. In a way, it's not a big story, but I think it's a noisy story, and that is on unmarked police cars. And the authority, the department has to stop women travelers and others at night in cars that have no external markings of being police vehicles. And the danger there is against, or we might say in violation of potentially the doctrines of fright and mental disturbance, which is it is a legal wrong to be involved in that. And I'm arguing and suggesting that there has to be explicit statutory authority for a police department to do this particular kind of enforcement in traffic. Now, there's a question about it. We've been looking at Chief Fred Fletcher's documentation, his policy manual, and looking through that. He, of course, allows it. But the question is not what he allows, but what do the people through their General Assembly and the statute allow in this particular area? There is a grant for Sheriff's Department vehicles in seemingly an open-ended grant in a discussion about how sheriff's vehicles are painted, and it says in that statute that nothing in the foregoing should be understood to prohibit the use of unmarked cars in undercover investigations and for other purposes. So that is it open-ended for the sheriff? Maybe, but what about chiefs of police in the numerous jurisdictions here in Chattanooga? We're looking at that question and trying to find what is right and what is the best for public safety, what is the best for travelers, particularly women traveling alone. Should they stop when a car behind starts flashing lights at them and they pull over and a man wearing a uniform, blue, seemingly with weapons and so on, coming toward the window? Are they vulnerable, or is this the way it should be? This is David Tulis. Melissa Slater, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, David, for your time.
Melissa is in the tattoo removal parlor, if you will, at Access Pharmacy here in Hickson. Contact Melissa if you need to work out your regrets and undo some blot or blight on your beautiful skin. David Tulis here, Nooga Radio. Subscribe today to Nooganomics.com.
AM 1240, 92.7 FM.